Good afternoon. Today I stand here and I'm going to summarize what more or less everybody has said, but in a totally different way. Largely, everyone has talked about transformation. Largely, everyone has talked about how their lives have changed, what they have done differently from there where they have come, how they have selected a transformation mechanism. I'm going to speak about that how the different palettes of choices are there in your kitty and how you can choose to transform your life. Well, I stand here in front of you, and from past 23 years, I'm consistently interacting with the students. In fact, lucky me was interacting continuously with the young minds, then the people who are actually making the change, who are actually making a difference to the world, to the country. And perhaps in 23 years, if not more, but not less than 20,000 students, 20,000 young minds I have talked to. What is the biggest challenge which I have seen? I have seen the challenge which is listed here. One is acceptance of change. The second is adaptability with the change. And the third biggest challenge which I have seen is how shall the particular person selects to change, how the people should change. And to speak about technically how you can actually choose your transformation. When we see our lives, then we are generally born with two fundamental mathematical functions. One is transition, which is or which can be described by a discrete equation. And the second is transition, which is an equation, a mathematical equation, which is continuous in nature. When I say a discrete equation, I simply means that result is bound to appear. It is beyond your control. You cannot choose to avoid it. It is there to happen. It is natural. It is universal. In fact, it is beyond human control. But when I saw talk about transformation, the transformation simply is in your control. It's a continuous equation in which you can keep on putting the variables and you can keep on getting the output which is good for the society, good for the people, and good for yourself. When we see the overall mechanism, fundamentally, there are three very important things when we are choosing to transform. One is the transformation, which is we are selecting. Second is control, that is over the choices. If you see, we can clearly see what is the difference between transition and transformation. When I see the transition, it is actually when you're moving to the next chapter. That means you have to move on. One chapter is completed of life. You have to move to the next chapter. There is no choice. It's not a matter of choice. While when I talk about transformation, you have to rewrite your entire story. Now, the idea is to understand where the choices come in between. So, if you see the transition, it is a change of state and it is beyond human control. We keep on changing. If you want me to ask the timeline, yes, it is from 4 to 5 years. And my next chart is going to explain that. When we see that the choices which we make ensures that what transformation is going to happen to us. The choices which we can control for execution, the choices which actually we realize from our past experience, and the choices which are dependent or measured by the matrix of values. Once you make the choices, your transformation is ensured, and the transformation is a reflection of the choices you have made in the process. And also, it prepares you to rewrite your next chapter. So it is pretty important, like since morning it has been talked, that our present is actually writing the future. Now, if I see how the overall graph works, the mechanism, see how the life goes on. When we were toddlers, so if I see the x axis horizontally, I have taken the transition. That means it is bound to happen, it is changing consistently. The moment I am speaking, the next line which is coming out of my mouth, it is not coming out of the same person which I was a moment before. So it is beyond your control. I am consistently changing. So when somebody talks about that it takes a moment to change the entire life, I think it is a continuous process. And it is a continuous process for the reason because if I'm waiting for a movement to change my life, I am actually challenging the most fundamental principle of universe, which is the change, which is happening consistently and continuously. So I have to adopt it and I don't have to wait for the movement. Now, if I when I was a toddler, you see on the y axis there are choices. I was having very limited choices to make. More or less, my overall transformation was dependent on my parents or probably in the environment or ecosystem I was nurtured. But the beauty of this entire matrix is that even if I was having choices to make at that point of time when I was a toddler, I was not having any control to execute them. So they become useless to me. Moment I start growing, I started having more choices. I started going to school. I probably have a choice to choose the color which I want to wear, and I have a larger control on my choices. I can argue with my parents. I can ask them to choose a particular color. I can decide the t-shirt color which I want to wear. Choices are more. Moment I grow bigger, so again, check the timeline between 4 to 5 years. Every 4 to 5 years, this change, this transition is going to hit you significantly. You should be ready for it and you can calculate with respect to your age. You grow bigger, you have more choices to make. You start going to college, you have choice to make. You have choice to make your subject. The parents actually start giving you more space and you have a power to exercise your choices, which were not there in the beginning. You keep on growing and you have power to make more and more choices. And each stage, whatever choices you make, your transformation becomes stronger and stronger. Since morning, when we were listening to the talks, it was told that doesn't matter what choices were made for them by someone else in the childhood, but they transformed themselves after a certain age when they were having a higher control on execution of their choices. So the beauty of the universal principle is that wherever you have more control, you have more choices to choose from. That's the palette of perspective. That means these perspectives are actually served in a platter in front of us. Only effort we need to do is choose the right one. We don't have to force ourselves to develop our own perspective. We just have to see they're lying in front of us in the form of nature, in the form of people, in the form of living beings, in the form of non living beings, in the form of messages. You just have to choose one. You have to pick one. And when you want to pick one, it is one of the most effortless things which we do in life. And once we do that, then the only thing we have to do is we start executing them. Now, the next thing is this is the whole model. If you see, I have a transition, then I have choices in between. In fact, I choose the transformation in that particular transition phase, and it has been moderated by the matrix of values. When I say values, then which value I choose to make those particular choices, the good values and bad values. And of course, I have to choose differently. Which value is a good value, which value is a bad value. It is written right in front of you. I'll take an example. For example, corruption. It's a bad value. And why it is a bad value? Because it is based on superstition. That means I only have an idea that it may work. It is socially not constructive at all. It is socially damaging. As well as I do not have a control on it. That means if I do the corruption, it will keep on spreading like a disease and it goes beyond my control. Carrying an ego at workplace is a really bad value. It is not socially constructive. It goes beyond my control. And of course, it is based on superstition that people are there to satisfy it or probably to practice it. On the other hand, when I talk good values, the good values are one which are non superstitious. That means they are realistic. For example, honesty. You can start it spontaneous. You can start practicing honesty right from now. Means probably next movement forward. They are socially constructive and they are highly controllable. I can choose to be honest. At a workplace, I can be full of gratitude. So, whenever a transition is taking place, the first thing is you should realize that transition is happening. After that, I have to choose I have to reflect, in fact, first, that what were the values I was carrying in my previous transformation, and what are the values I need to change, I need to adapt to ensure that this particular transformation of me makes a difference to the life. So, if you see the overall picture, how exactly things work, the first thing is, of course, realization. That means realizing that the transition is taking place. Yes, it is happening. It is very important. Most of the students which I come across, or most of the young minds which I come across, I keep on speaking in my class as well, they do not grow out of the teenager mindset, even if they are sitting at the third or fourth phase of their life. And this whole thing changes. That means they are not liking this change, or they are not seeing this change, they are not seeing this transition which has already taken place. And there is a huge mismatch between how you are thinking and which phase of life you are living. And that clouds your judgment by and large. So the first thing is realizing, yes, the transition is taking place. Second thing is embracing it, enjoying it. Again, I'm saying the universal principle is things change and it's consistent. It is happening right at this moment when we are sitting in this room. Things are changing. Everything is changing. We are getting it. The air is changing. The CO2 levels are changing. Everything is changing. The temperature is continuously fluctuating. There's nothing constant in this world. So we have to embrace it. And the idea is, even if you try to be repulsive about it, it is not going to help you, because it is the law of the universe. You like it, you don't like it, you want it, you do not want it. Life is going to shift to the next phase without any doubt. It happens. It's the universal principle. It has happened for the gods who came on the planet. It happens with the entire universe. There is a consistently changing environment which is taking place. So please embrace the change. Do not wait that there is a moment which is going to come and that is going to transform my life. No, every moment you are transforming yourself. And to be very honest, you can radiate a consistent energy only if you consistently keep on absorbing and embracing, else it is not going to happen. If you try to consume the energy in one moment, you will reflect in one moment. In fact, the reflect is not the right word. You will react it one moment. It is out. Again, there is a one moment where something comes in, and again you react it out. But if there is a consistent absorption of the change, consistent embracing of the change, consistent shifting of the values, then you keep on radiating and reflecting good energy consistently. Doesn't matter where you walk, and it becomes very, very effortless. You don't have to sweat for it. Embrace it, then make choices. I said about good choices and bad choices. And at the end, I want to say, ensure your transformation. So I leave you with a question. That means spot when your next transition is going to take place. And definitely, I've given you a timeline, third time in this particular talk. I'm telling you, it is between 4 to 5 years. It is bound to appear in your life and it'll hit you. So you have to prepare today. You have to make the choices which you are going to select for the next transformation. And before doing that, you have to reflect and you have to check that what kind of choices I made in my previous transformation and how actually I have been transformed by those particular values. So keep choosing the good values and keep enjoying the transformation. Thank you. Thank you very much.